In the wake of the leaked opinion by the Supreme Court on Roe v. Wade, Democrat Chuck Schumer vowed the Senate will vote on legislation guaranteeing abortion rights. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says, "I'm more motivated than ever to keep fighting like hell to ensure abortion remains safe and accessible in Michigan." The midterms are right around the corner. So is the election for governor, attorney general, and secretary of state in the state of Michigan. Just a few days ago, it seemed the Democrats were on the ropes. Remember, inflation, supply chain, worker shortage, sinking stock market, foreign affair flops, all dragging down approval ratings for the Democrats. But now, all eyes are on the issue of abortion. This topic absolutely has changed the political conversation. But will this become the topic for the midterms? Will it change the outcomes of elections in November? Joining us now is Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist. Good morning, Roshini. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. Wow, lots to dig into here.
Absolutely.
Just when you thought we couldn't get another new layer of headlines.
Yeah, right. This obviously has been the topic all week. Do you think this becomes the topic for the midterms?
Well, I don't know about the topic, but it certainly has so many moral implications for people. And some people have spent their entire lives, their entire adult lives fighting for this on one side or the other. So it definitely does evoke so many emotions and just kind of raw energy from people. And it doesn't always lead to compromise. When you're in that state of emotion and kind of hyperactivity, compromise is less likely. So, this is where the leaders from both sides of the aisle can show their leadership by just kind of looking at the facts, calming down, listening to one another, and figuring out the next steps.
The primary's in August, the election in November. It's almost commercial time. It's almost time to hear all those ads. Are people out changing their ad strategies based on this new development?
Oh, I bet they are. That's a very good point. I bet they are. And, some of the other maybe less savory topics, when I say less savory, this very sad topic of the war in Ukraine, the economy, some of the different, the supply chain issues, some of these things that are true issues that are happening in the world and in our country, they could also take that back seat because this is one that there are pretty clear lines on. And it's an easier one for a politician, their followers, their constituents to get into, their teams. So I'm concerned that some of the other work of the country gets slowed down because people are very focused on this topic, Kevin.
Yeah, what a scoop for Politico. This document was leaked. We don't know why, but everybody seems to be speculating about it. Do you feel like the leak issue will have a political impact one way or the other?
Yeah, I think it will, but I'll tell you this as someone who's a licensed attorney, and, the halls of the Supreme Court are still very hallowed to me. I don't necessarily think the Supreme Court justices are any better than the rest of us, but they are really in this position where confidentiality and process is so important. So whoever did do this leak, shame on them in such a big way, because it really takes away from a process that is supposed to be legitimate and fair. And even if it does turn out, this goes through and this decision is made to overturn Roe, the justices really deserved their own time and their own timeline to put that out there. So, as someone who is a member of the Bar of Minnesota and went to law school and knows a lot of judges and lawyers, this is not the way the judicial branch of our government is supposed to work. And when you are a clerk or anyone employed by the Supreme Court of the United States, there is something, I think, not trying to get too philosophical here, but there is something a little more hallowed about that branch of our government, which I think has now been forever just ruined. And personally, I can say as a licensed attorney, that makes me very angry. And this is one part of our government that doesn't deserve that kind of leak, doesn't deserve to be politicized, shouldn't be politicized. That was never the intent of the framers of our Constitution. So there will be a lot of repercussions, and going into the elections are just the kind of the start of those repercussions.
Let's talk about what's in the decision, a 5-4 decision in the draft to overturn Roe v. Wade and send decisions on abortion back to the individual states. How does this play politically for each party, would you say? What do the Democrats do with this information? What do Republicans do with it?
Well, it's quite a field day, right, for both parties. I mean, because once you put this back to the states, we even use these terms, red and blue states. So we have states that we can almost pick what they're going to do. I live in the state of Minnesota. We're already seeing trends as well as just predictions that the states around us that are considered, some of them red states, will be moving here for those services or coming here for those services and perhaps overtaxing the system in Minnesota. So there will be both physical as well as political and financial repercussions if this goes back to the states. Now, some of what I read in that leaked opinion, Judge Alito seems to, have a legal reasoning for writing what he wrote. So, I mean, that's going to be picked apart by the legal scholars. And if that's the decision that ends up coming out, that then becomes the new law of the land. So it will be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. But you better believe, I mean, state legislatures, I'm sure in Michigan too, state legislatures are already getting ready, depending on what the political persuasion is of the various individuals in those branches, in those offices.
Yeah, so as you know, in Michigan here, we have Democrat governor, attorney general, secretary of state. They're all up for election. Does this story, does this help them or hurt them, or we just don't know?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on which state you're in. I think it now more than ever, maybe there will be that litmus test that comes back. I mean, I don't know that this topic was every day being asked in past elections. What's your stand on abortion rights? What's your stand on abortion in general? It probably will be now. I mean, more politicians probably need to go on the record about this. Those are the kinds of questions. And, I think each constituency, each set of voters needs to then decide, well, is this that important to me? Or are we more in a place where Roe is the law of the land forever? Many people can live with that. So we're going to see a real renewed sense of advocacy. I think it's going to be up there with what we saw on gay marriage across the states. Both sides of that issue getting very active and passionate over the years.
We just have a few seconds left, but do you think this is an issue that will get people off the couch to go and vote?
I absolutely do, Kevin.
Okay. Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist, we appreciate you coming on. Very interesting to see how this is going to play out in an election year. We want to hear from you next. The number is 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Is this an issue that will get you off the couch to vote? If you were thinking about staying home, will this get you to the polls? What will this mean for independent voters, people who aren't sure if they want to vote for Republicans or Democrats? Does this issue sway them one way or the other? You're listening to WJR 768.